Welcome to Strange Attached Street Ministry. Well, today I'm going to have a little chat with you. Let me tell you what happened. As usual, a lot of times, I'll stop by a drive-thru or whatever. And as I go get mine, I always ask how much the person behind me is, how much their bill was. And if I can afford it, I usually try to buy it. People say, well, Jim, you don't have the money or the ability to just waste money like that. Let me tell you what, that's the most valuable money you could ever spend. Because it's an act of kindness. And when you have an act of kindness, it sparks something in the person that's receiving it in such a way that is profound. It almost wants them, and it should, it especially as a Christian, what do we do with acts of kindness? Well, God gives us acts of kindness towards us, basically to give us a kiss saying, hey, I got you, I love you. It's just a sweet gesture. It's fellow man randomly giving you and passing you some love and letting them know that you are special, that you do mean something to somebody. And that feeling that you receive in that transaction is probably the most heartwarming and the most profound emotion I think you could probably ever experience from a stranger. So I really feel that's where God tells us when your cup flows over, it's to spill out onto others. And that's sort of what that's all about. It's the act of kindness, it's the act of love. Yes, good works has nothing to do, you can't get to heaven through good works. But you know what? Good works can change other people's mind and lives and also make them wonder, what does he have that's so special? How could he possibly care enough about someone that he don't even know to do such a thing? And I'm not talking just a homeless or something, I think it's our duty to always watch out for those. Do what we can to make their life better and to try to bring them out of the situation that they're in. To visit the people in prisons, go talk to them, go chat with them like the Bible tells us to. Give them hope and courage. Let them know that, that someone on the outside cares for them. Because when you're trapped like a rat like that, you find out what true alone really is. And it's enough to break a man, or even a woman. So remember your acts of kindness, guys. It's so important that we practice this. And as Christians, when someone gives us act of kindness, we should instantly take away what God intended it to be, was the feeling and the love that you receive from that. But I also feel that it fills your cup full, pour it out onto others. So in turn around and do an act of kindness to someone else. Very fast, very quickly. If not even the guy right directly behind you, or the person that's walking down the street. You never know who you touch and how you touch. I remember the one time a couple years ago, I stopped at Starbucks to get a coffee, and I paid for the person behind me. And the lady at the cash register is like, why would you do that? I'm like, I drive a prayer van. Just tell them an angel bought their coffee for them. That's good enough for me. She's like, that's sweet. So I said, well, it's not for me to get any glory off of it. It's for them. So she went on and did just that. And, I'm sure it touched their hearts and definitely touched her. She didn't understand what was going on. So I came back the next morning, got my coffee again, and I did the same thing. She says, oh, wait a minute, you did that yesterday, didn't you? You're the guy that did that yesterday. I said, yeah. She's like, let me tell you that. Says, do you realize that every time someone pulled up to the window, that person paid for the one behind them? It went 30 cars. 30 cars before it finally stopped, where they would get their coffee paid for, and then they would in turn pay for the ones behind them. Said, sir, that to me just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that it was that contagious. And I said, see, it's amazing what one little act of kindness can do, and you don't realize it, and you can't even really track it. But unfortunately, once in a great while, you have an opportunity to see how it tracks. And it's amazing just how far it can actually go. How many people can it touch? Like, you touch one person, that person touches another, 2 people, and those 2 people touch, 6 more people, or, it keeps on building and building and building. Before you know it, you've created more power than a holiday, just because of a simple act of kindness. Consider what you do. Consider the gifts that you can do for each other, because you never know how desperate that gift could be for the one that's receiving it. You could never know how desperate your heart needs to feel the love that releases from you when you do it, because you get benefit as well. You get an inside benefit. I call it walking in holiness for the moment. That's the best. It's the best feeling you could ever have, when you know that you've actually accomplished something for the day. And the thing is, just like I do in the mornings, the very first thing I do in the mornings, I try to go out and try to find a sunrise. And the reason I do that, because I know my day cannot get any worse, or any worse than what it is right now at this moment. So I could take on the world, and they could beat me half to death, and that's all right, because I know I've already had a great day. So they can't ruin my day. So when you look at acts of kindness, that's why I usually do mine in the morning as well. And I'll do it all through the day, don't get me wrong. But the earlier that I do it, the better it starts my day off. But it's amazing what that actually does for somebody. So anyway, today I'm accumulating stuff. I'm going to go see the girls in jail today. I've got 1 in rehab, 2 in jail, and then down in the other county I got 1 down there. And then I got to go over to the man's prison and visit 1 over there. So I'm going to try to get them all done tomorrow. Seems like that's the best time to do them. I know it's an awful lot racked up on just one day, but a couple of them, they only have visitations on the weekend. And but they're both all up there at the same place in the same area. So I catch 3 of them within 5-block area. So that's why I set them all up for Sunday. So I'm going to do, I'm collecting girl stuff, I'm trying to get them shampoos and razors and things that they would usually have to spend money on in the commissary. Um, Toothpaste, toothbrushes. Sometimes the toiletries and stuff like that is probably the most important thing for them. Especially for the girls. They really appreciate that. Feminine products, they're going to be in there more than 30 days. They're going to have a cycle one day that they're in there, or at least a week. So I always make sure at least they have something. I really don't ask, what they use. I usually get both. And just put a box of each one in there. And that way at least I know that they have them. And if they don't use them, I'm sure they'll pass it on to somebody that does. It's just the way that people that know me are. They don't ever let anything go to waste because they know where it come from and how hard it was for me to acquire it sometimes. So at least they respect that. So I say a prayer for them, definitely. Got good news. One of them, they give rehab, a long-term rehab, which is, I believe, 6 months. And it's all in a solid rehab. And then after that, they're going to walk her out and hopefully let her free. She only had 2 weeks left on her probation, and she got she got turned in for violating her probation. 2 weeks. You figured you'd crawl into a closet somewhere and hide for 2 weeks, but you still got to survive. And when you're basically homeless, it makes it pretty hard sometimes. So it gets pretty crazy out there. I mean, ones in here, they've all busted their their violations, but it's over stupid stuff this time. I mean, one was violated because of a prescription drug. They did a pee test on her, and she failed the test because of a prescription drug that she had a prescription for. So she hasn't gotten in front of the judge yet. For some reason, there must be backlogged or something, which is really crazy, especially if someone's not guilty. For them to spend, she's been in there almost 2 weeks now. So that's pretty bad. But one was violated because she was $5 short on her probation money. They have to pay their probation officer every week or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, she was $5 short, and it was like the second time she was like that. So he got sort of pissed off at her and violated her, which, I don't know. I sort of got mixed feelings on that. I understand, demanding discipline, and trying to, you sort of have to force them to gain responsibility. But I do that as well. Don't get me wrong, I do. But there's ways to do that. There's ways to do that without harming them. I mean, I don't believe in tough love. I think that's a false prophet. I don't believe in that. It's a lie. People use that as an excuse because they just get tired and worn down, and they just don't want to do anymore because they're selfish. So they just say that. How many parents has got kids walking the streets because they're tough love? I understand the kids are troubled. I understand they probably were a handful. But God gave that child to you for a reason, even if it was to test you. Maybe you were trying to be learning, maybe you were supposed to be learning a lesson as well. It might have just been compassion, you never know. There's a big debate on that, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not one to to beat you up. I'm not also one to be taken advantage of. I go a long ways. Anyone has a chance to do me wrong. I pretty much expect it. But every time they do me wrong, I require just a little bit more from them, if you know what I mean. Yes, they can still do me wrong, but eventually what they end up doing is finding out, why am I doing wrong to him? He doesn't deserve that from me. I've even had some of them even admit to that. He says, why are you so kind to me, and why do you love me so much? I'm nothing to you. I said, oh, but you're not. You're everything to me. That's the thing. You're a child of God. And God gave you to me to help nurture and support and to take care of and to guide through this part of your life. That's my job. That's what I do. And I vowed to the Lord that I would take anything and everything that I possibly had to give. It was His for the taking, for me to give. I know I don't leave very much, and there's sometimes even myself I feel like, Lord, as much as I've done for as many people in this world, why do I have to suffer as hard as I do? I just don't understand that. I have my moments too, but that's just the devil beating me, trying to get into my head, tell me that it's all fake and that I'm not even worthy enough to have grace come over me because of no one's grateful for what I do for them. And they definitely fail just to prove it to me every single time. But I'm sorry. One day, a long time ago, I was convinced. When a man is convinced that there's a God and that God loves him and that God will do anything for him, when a man's convinced, it completely changes that man's perspective, life, his output. He can endure anything possible because of that convincing. So, anyway, trash guy decides to show up. Roll the windows up for a second. But anyway, sorry about that. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Anyway, remember your kindness, guys. Being kind to someone ain't gonna hurt. It's definitely not gonna hurt them. It's not gonna hurt you neither. But just remember, when you give or when you help, your job is to give and to help. It's the release from your hands that's the power of your blessing, of your gift and what's coming back to you. It's because you're obedient and you give. Once it leaves your fingers, then now that responsibility of that gift or that blessing falls onto them from receiving it. Now it's their job to take it and to do with what needs to be done properly, what God asks of them to do with that. It's not our job to follow it all the way back to the bank. So, never have a mindset of saying, well, I'm not going to give that homeless man money, he'll go out and buy beer with it. Well, if he does, that has nothing to do with you. That doesn't give you an excuse to not give. If the Spirit pulled on your heart to even look at that man and to think about that man, then there's a reason that that Spirit had pulled on you. Follow through with your blessing. Because remember, it's not what we're not to control what happens. Our blessing comes from that. Now, if you notice him misbehaving that blessing a couple of times, and you've dealt with him before, and you see that, and you were trying to instruct him, tell him where that money came from, and tell them that God requires them to use it in such a way to where it's going to benefit them, not to just buy a lottery ticket with it. But don't be afraid to give cash. Sometimes that's all you have. Sometimes you don't have the time to take them in and sit down and feed them and get them a meal. I will not go through a drive-through, period. I've done that a couple of times, and I felt so guilty for that, it shamed me. And I promised that I would never, ever again have to a point in my life to where I made one of them feel shameful, or that they're less than me. So even if I go to a fast food restaurant and they're outside the restaurant, I don't go through the drive-thru and pick them something up. I stop them and I invite them to go in. Even if I was going through the drive-thru myself, I would invite them to go inside with me. And we would go in together. We would order anything that we wanted, and we would both go back to the table, sit down, and I would eat a meal with them. That way I know I get to talk with them and to share with them and fellowship with them. Boy, girl, old, young, I don't care. That's just the way I am. They're that important to me. If I see an older person eating by themselves or standing in line to eat by themselves, I will literally get up and ask them to come and join me. They always look at me funny and says, "Why would you do that?" I says, "Because you're too beautiful of a person, you're too much of a soul to have to eat alone. God does not design us to have to be alone. And I offer you my friendship today, just so you don't have to eat this meal alone." Some of the conversations I got from doing that, some of the total blessings, some of the great friendships that I have now, today. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. In the past, I remember I did this old man one day, and he ended up being a millionaire. Before I knew it, there was things I was having things paid for. I mean, completely. I mean, just taken care of. I was wondering, how in the world? But he was just his way of silent. He never would let me know that he did. I knew he was doing it. I knew in my heart, but I never pressed it. I never pushed it. But, short-lived, But you know what? It made him change a little bit. I think in a way to where at least he had a chance to see how it worked. Now, if he still does, I don't even know where he's at or what he's into nowadays. I lost contact with him about 10 years ago. So, who knows? But I have so many people, man. I have people that's strictly on nothing but very bare minimum Social Security that gives and helps my ministry out. So sometimes I almost feel guilty that they actually do. Before, I would always find someone that I knew that they couldn't, I would deny taking it. I'd say, "No, this isn't right. You don't need to." But then I realized that's not my job. I robbed them of their blessing because it's the releasing of their hands. That when they release it, that's when God returns it back. because now their hands are empty and they can reach out and grab what God wants them to have. And I've seen that a few times. A few people that committed like that to me when they were in trouble. Sure, I was right back there to help them out and to keep them going. Give them a car, whatever they need, I was there. I believe in helping each other out, loving each other. You become part of my ministry, I become part of you. I become part of your life. If you'll let me, I'll become your best friend. We will talk, we will laugh, we will cry together. And we'll do anything in my power possibly to even meet you and sit down with you and to chat with you as often as possible. I have people that call me every single week. Talk to me on the phone, sometimes for hours. Literally hours. That's how much I treasure each and every one of you. If at any point you need me, you want to talk to me, if you need to chat with me about anything, I am the most human person you'll ever meet. I will talk to you about God and salvation, but I'll never shove it down your throat. Usually you'll be the one to bring it up. But I'm here to love with you and to share with you and to be part of you. I have enough love to go around this world. I don't restrict myself to just one person at a time. I love many, many, many. So it's amazing what you can do as long as you care. It's amazing what life can actually turn out to be. So that's my lesson on kindness and what we do with it. Hey, thanks every one of you for help supporting my ministry. The ones that do, God bless each and every one of you. You know who you are. I will not call you out. Now, if you specifically write me a letter and say, hey, Jim, it's all right, use me, I would like to hear it, or brag about me, by all means, I would do that in a heartbeat. Don't think I won't. But most of them usually require for me to be silent about it, and I try my best to thank them the best I can. I try to mention it in my videos often to let them privately know I know who you are, and I do love you, and I thank you so drastically much. I really appreciate what you do, and I think that touches me the most is how it affects not just me, but the people around the ministry. You change lives. Literally, you change lives. You'd be surprised how many lives you actually change. I don't know why this trash guy just decides to pull right up behind me and park. He's supposed to be picking up a dumpster. I don't know what he's doing. Oh, there he goes. Guess he was taking a lunch break. And the thing is, he didn't even dump the dumpster. How great is that? But anyway. Anyway, guys. Hopefully this video made any sense to you. I hope it did. But anyway, all the ways to contact me, help donate to my ministry through PayPal or Cash App is how I receive that, or you can send it to me in the mail, is fine. If you want my address, request it, and I'll be glad and leave your email. I'll be more than happy to email with you and give you my address. But all the information will be down in the description. Feel free to reach out and contact me anytime you want. So, wish me luck. I'm going to spend the rest of the day collecting stuff that the girls need. And put little bags for them to survive, I guess, in there. I don't know, do they supply soap at least in... I've never been to Jill's. I don't have no clue what they supply or what they don't supply. So, but I'll take what they need. I know they're... All of them has asked me for money at times. You know, for the commissary. You know, to buy stuff just like that. So, instead of paying full retail exploded prices. I mean, to give someone just $10, they charge... I mean, I don't care what you give them. But it's a processing fee of almost $8. Which is ridiculous. So if all you have is $20, it's going to cost you $28 to get that $20 to them. And then I'm sure they probably charge them on the backside as well. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, just a simple text message. Both ways. Just for me to send each one of them a text message is 50 cents. And then they have to send me one back, and then they're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can imagine how quick that adds up. And of course, they want to communicate with you because you're the only person that even is in contact with them. So, you know, they're lonely, and they just need someone to comfort, just to... I get that. I understand that. They won't let you go and actually visit them no more. At least back in the day when I used to go, I mean, it was through a glass, but you could actually go look at them in the eyes. You could look at them and you could talk to them directly. Now, yeah, you can see them, but it's just like looking into a TV screen. That's all you're looking at. It's just not the same. It like loses some connection to points there. Which is so sad to me. I mean, I feel that you should be able to go in, sit down at a picnic table, and literally touch them. That's my opinion. Hold their hand, give them a hug, tell them you love them, whatever it takes. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much in this world. But I think the world has gotten so scared of life, so scared of the coronavirus. Just didn't get me started there. I don't care if it's real or not. When they start telling me I can't, and it's against the law for me to even travel where I need to go across the border and to meet family, to hop on a plane and fly across the country to meet family again, and them tell me no, I'm not allowed because I ain't got their shot. Why have we give up our rights like that? And freely. I just don't get it. I mean, come on, they locked us down for a year. They made us wear these masks for what, a year and a half? I don't know. That's not what this video is supposed to go to. Anyway, I'm going to get off here before I run this video. Hey, God loves all of you. I love you. Trust me, I really, really do. But, like I said, anything you ever need from me or want to talk to me, reach out. Just reach out. I'll be more than happy to talk to you, to love you, to be friends with you, to start a relationship, just to build and build and build and let you know someone out there in this world loves you. You're worth that to me. And I think God will ordain any relationship that's born in His favor and in His name. So, each one of you have a great day. I welcome you to our Saturday. I love Saturdays. But anyway, I hope you do too. Have a great day.